Alrighty, kids, good morning. Today we're going to be discussing in our lunch review the idea of logarithmic radical. What in the heck is going on here? See what I'm saying? Radical, logarithmic, and systems of equations. Yes, we're going to be doing them all today, and if I stay in this voice much longer, you're going to hit the stop button, so I'll stop. Alright. Back to normal. Okay, here we go. Anyway, all this stuff can be found at the website. I only say this every time, only because if this is the first video by chance you happen to find, you know where to find all of this stuff. All of this stuff is Algebra 2 review. And I know there's people that go, do this for Algebra 1, do this for geometry. First of all, geometry is not my favorite. I don't think you'll ever see my face on a geometry video. I do like algebra. I just don't have time because it's the first time Algebra 2 is being done. So I'm trying to get as much Algebra 2 out there for you all as possible. All of this is review. I'm going to tell you right now, if you master all of this stuff, you will be a genius on the Regents exam. If not, oh well, you could always take it again next year. Gosh, Mr. Krause, that was cold, baby, cold. All right, let's get going. First things first, all logarithmic equations must be checked. All radical equations must be checked. And here's a surprise. All equations should be checked. Check them all. Check everything. Check, 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 check. By the time you're done with your test, your battery should be dead on your calculator. Just dead. Brand new batteries, completely dead. That's the way it should be. All right, so let's get started. We're going to bring the 4 over. You got to isolate the weird thing. This is the weird thing. I know you're thinking, oh, no. The guy behind the camera is the weird thing. Whatever. Leave me alone. Give the brother a break. Don't mess with me. We're going to subtract 4, subtract 4. So we get x minus 7. Once we've done that, then we're going to square both sides. Now, squaring the left side is quite easy. It's just x minus 1. Squaring this side is, you got to be that, don't be that person, you know who I'm talking about, don't be that person. You got to double distribute, x squared minus 14x plus 49. I refuse to go through that with you. Okay, there it is. Minus 7x and minus 7x makes the minus 14. Since my x squared's positive, I'm going to move everything to that side. So 0 equals x squared minus 15x plus 50. You never want to factor. Never, 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 never want to factor when your x squared is negative. I will factor this baby out. X minus 5, x minus 10. And my two solutions are x equals 5 and x equals 10. But there's like a 90% chance on an Algebra 2 test that one of these does not work. Like 90, maybe 90, even 95. So go into calculator mode. We're going to go 5, control, var, x. I don't have my answer key with me. I don't even know where that is, actually. Type in the original only. Don't type in anything you changed, because the thing you changed might work, probably will work, when the original actually won't work. X plus 1 plus 4. Never use the equal sign. I'm assuming you could type that in. Minus 1. 6. Now type in the right side. X minus 3. Oh, they don't match. Can't work. Now, there's a 99.9% chance if you have two answers, at least one of them is going to work. It doesn't happen all the time. There is a small chance it won't happen. But generally, if one of them will work. Now, if you get them both not to work, I would redo the problem because it's probably not correct. You probably did something silly. So let's type in the left side. We get 7. Let's type in the right side. We get 7. Ka-ching. Write your answer like a boss, not like a punk. Right? All right. My stupid thing keeps coming up. Write your answer like a boss. Nice curly brackets, put in a 10. Nice curly brackets, put it in there and say, nailed it. On your Regents exam, I want you to say, nailed it. Thanks, Krause. Thanks, Nooms. Thanks for creating the reviews, Nooms and Krause. Or don't say anything, just say nailed it. I like kids writing me notes during the test, because I can't grade the test. I'm not even allowed to look at my kid's test. So we're sitting in a room and some kid said, oh, Krause, one of your kids wrote you another note, said nailed this problem. They usually write things like, hey, could you tell Mr. Krause this one was way too easy? Or tell Mr. Krause I'm sorry because I have no idea what I'm doing on this problem. And that just makes me mad. But those are funny notes. So I like notes being written. So you can always write your teacher notes. Don't write this. IDK. Don't write that. That just makes the grader really mad, makes your teacher really mad. You don't want people mad at you when they're trying to grade your test. You know, and don't write what the heck either, because nobody wants to see that. You write fun notes. Don't write stupid notes. All right. Now, I don't suggest you skip these thinking, oh, I know how to do all these. I think one of these is a little weird. This one might be the weird one. So we're going to subtract 6x. This one makes this one a little bit harder. Subtract 6x. Excuse me. So we're going to end up with the square root of x squared plus 3x plus 15 is equal to negative 4x plus 3. Please, please, please heed my warnings. Negatives are awful. Whenever you see a negative in a place where you're like, why is that there? Really think about what could it cause, what kind of problems that could cause for you. We're going to square both sides. You're going to see that in a second. We're going to square this side. So you end up with x squared plus 3x plus 15. Really consciously write this one out. Slowly go through it. Whenever there's a negative, you ought to almost take a pause. Slow down. Make sure you don't make a dumb mistake. Slow down. Negative 4x times negative 4x is actually 16x squared. Be careful. But this is where, be careful. That's negative 12 and negative 12. That's negative 24x. And then positive 3 times positive 3 is positive 9. Make sure you've double distributed or FOILed that thing out properly. Because my x squared is positive, I'm going to move everything over to that side. So I'm going to subtract this x squared. I'm going to subtract this 3x. I'm going to subtract this 15. Now the problem's getting to be a little bit normal. Just be on the lookout for silly things like those negatives. They're not nice. 15x squared minus 27x minus 6. I can take out a 3 because that'll make my life a little bit easier. 5x squared minus 27x. Oops. Minus 9x minus 2. If I want at this point, I can go over to my calculator. And on the normal calculator, it's menu 331. But on this one, it's a little bit different. So don't go by this one. But in your normal CX calculator, it's menu 331. But it's algebra, polytools, and find the roots of a polynomial. And you could just type in 5, negative 9, and negative 2. Are they both negative? Yeah. And it will tell you what the answers are, which is nice. Negative 1/5 and 2, because what that will tell you is really what the factoring is. X equals negative 1/5. 5 came from in front of the x, so this is 5x plus 1. And this was x equals 2, right? So in here is x minus 2. Remember, when they go back into the parentheses, there's signs that are same. But these are your two answers. Of course, you have to check them. Yes, I know, checking's a pain. But what do you want, 100? Or do you want a 75 on this problem you just wrecked? I don't know. Let's check it out. So we're going to do negative 1 divided by 5. So negative 1 divided by 5, control var x. And it'll fix it for you. It'll make it look pretty. And now type in just the left side. Do not use this equal sign. It is a massive problem. It works 85% of the time, but that one time you want it to work, I'll almost guarantee it's going to mess with your brain. So you type in the left side, 13 over 5. You type in the right side, 2x plus 3. Bam, 13 over 5. I'm assuming you can tell if those are equal. Those two are equal. They're equal. So 2, control var x. Now we got to check the other one. Now, the good news is once you've typed these in, you go back up here, you say, oh, I'm not retyping that, 17. Boom, nice. Nice and easy. 7. They don't match. See, you can see if they don't match. You don't need an equal sign. They don't match. The only acceptable answer to this equation is negative 1/5. And like I said before, 95% of the time on a Regents exam, one of these will not work. All right, let's try this one. Bring the 2 over, so I get the square root of x plus 14 equals x plus 2. Square both sides. Square both sides. I get x plus 14 equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. Remember, you're writing it twice. Since this is positive, I'm going to move everything to this side. I get 0 equals x squared plus 3x minus 10. The factoring is pretty simple. X plus 5, x minus 2, and I get x equals negative 5, and x equals 2. 14. The negative 5 is not going to work, so I'm just going to, if you check the negative 5, it won't work. The reason being is you're not going to, you're not going to find something that you do this to and you subtract 2 and get negative 5. That's just not going to happen. All right, let's talk about some logs. Let's talk about logarithms. They are so much fun. All right, this problem's pretty quick. All right, if it's a logarithmic function, you must change it into an exponential in order to solve it. You have to get good at changing to exponential. So it's all about that base. All about that base. About that base. All about that base. The base is 8. Once you've done that, since logarithms are equal to exponents, you really just are going to switch these two. That's the trick. These just switch. You need to remember that logarithms are really equal to the exponent. But so these two things switch. So instead of 8 with this, now 8 goes with this. So it's 8 to the 5/3 is equal to 9x minus 4. Now, if you can't do this in your brain, then use your calculator. But it's really the 3rd root of 8, which is 2. 2 to the 5th is 32. On the day of the Regents, abuse your calculator. Make sure, triple check. Yeah, use your brain. Yeah, it's 32. Go check it with your calculator. Don't be that person that doesn't do that. So 9x minus 4, you bring the 4 over, you get 9x equals 36, and x equals 4. Even if you have one answer, you still have to check it. You never know if that one answer is bogus, and maybe there is no solution. By the way, if you have no solutions, do the problem again, just to make sure. Log base 8 of 9x minus 4. 9x minus 4. And we're hoping this is 5/3. There it is, 5/3. Yay! Alrighty, here we go. Somehow that 15 was missing off that one. I don't know how that happened, so I had to put that in there. Where is my mouse pointer? All right, let me grab a real one. All right, so this is our base. So all about that base, about that base, about that base. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, man, Mr. Krause could have gone into singing business. It's all about that base. We copy down the base, and then these things switch side. Think about it as this is the exponent. Not anymore. No, don't want to be with you anymore. I'm switching allegiances. I'm now going with you. And then these two things switch sides. And then we no longer have a log function. We now have an exponential function. So 4x cubed minus 18x plus 15 all over 4x. All right, we got a lot of work to do on this problem. Lots and lots. First thing we're going to do is get rid of these parentheses because they're sort of troublesome. So we'll double distribute this thing out. We'll get x squared plus 4x. Hey, look at that 4. That 4 was awesome. Plus 4 equals 4x cubed minus 18x. Why did I put cubed? Oh, it is cubed. Wow, that's weird. Plus 15. That makes me worried. Hold on, let me check the original. There's the original. Looks good to me. All right, back over 4x. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now comes the tricky part. You're like, well, what am I going to do now? I don't know what to do. I can't do it. I don't know. Hey, look, kids, if you got a fraction, always consider cross multiplying. That times that, and that times that. So let's see. This gives us 4x cubed minus 18x plus 15 equals, that was this part. Now we'll do the other part. 4x cubed plus 16x squared plus 16x. Well, now the good news is the cubes go. That one and that one go. They're the same thing. Now, since my squared is positive, and it's the big one right here, everything's going to that side. So, let's go to blue. 0 is equal to 16x squared. If I add 18x here, I think I get 34 plus 34x minus 15. Factoring here is not easy in the least. You can always come over to your graphing calculator and go menu 331. And click OK. By the way, I know it's 8x. I think it's 8x plus 5 or something like that. Let's go. We're going 16, 34, and then negative 15. Click OK. Now remember, what this gives you is the roots, right? So this is going to give you remember, this is going to give you x equals negative 5 halves. X equals negative 5 over 2. X equals 8 over, not 8, 3 over 8. 3 over 8. Now you have to remember, first of all, when it goes back into the parentheses, it gets back in with a different sign. You also have to remember that the last step when you solve this equation was to bring this is 8 was here, to get it there, so it's really 8x, and this 2 really belongs there, that's 2x, okay? And then 5 and negative 3. And you can check it. That's your negative 6. That's your 40. 40 minus 6 is 30. So those are your two answers. This probably should write x here, otherwise we got problems. Now you have to check them. Now you must check them. So let's check 3/8. Remember, if they both don't work, you done screwed something up. So log, control, log, I think it's x plus 2. Division, control division, write it in exactly as it appears, 4x cubed, 4x, I wish there was a fast way to put cube in, cube, and then of course that's supposed to be on the top, so we'll just kind of cut that and see if we can put it up on the top, control X, I don't think it's going to work, doggone it, 4x, of course the hard thing to put in, 3, is it plus 18x, minus 18x, minus 18x, plus 15, all over 4x. And does it equal 2? Oh, look, we want it to equal 2. Don't use the equal sign, equals 2. Now we're going to do negative 5 divided by 2. We'll store it into x. Click the up arrow. Oops. Totally forgot everything. 5 divided by 2. That's weird. And you're going to find out this one is not going to work, because, quite frankly, this is negative 2.5. That would make this negative, and you can't have a negative base. So my answer is, nice, neat, organized, looking like a professional, 3/8. I think it could be I could think it look better than that. Perfect. All right, moving on. Maybe. Same thing, same kind of a problem, really. I was trying to find some hard ones. I found a couple that I guess were very similar. X plus 2 squared is equal to x cubed. Now, if you didn't do this one on your own, you should, and I've already started it. All right, we're going to double distribute out this, and just to save time, this is x squared plus 4x plus 4. Don't do this. Show every step. Show everything nice and neat and organized for your teacher. The more organized, the better mood we're in when we grade them. You don't want to be like, you don't want a teacher looking at your work going, what the heck is this? Loser. Plus 0. Oh, I'm not even looking for good work for you. Now, we don't actually do that, but you never know. You might get a teacher in a really bad mood that looks at you and go, you know what? If you're not willing to put the work in to make your work look neat, I'm not willing to put the work in to give you any credit. Because, really, you made me mad. You done pissed me off. And I don't like to get pissed off. All right, there we go. That's a 9. Of course, we all know it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. So, there we go. Yes, anybody offended, I apologize. Cross multiply, kids. Cross multiply. So I get x. This should be squared. What in the world did I write over here? Why did you all let me write that? See, I was talking trash the whole time. I don't even know what I wrote. Oh. Oh my gosh. I'm losing my... Wait, hold on. I already did this. I already cross-multiplied. In my haste and stupidity talking, I already cross-multiplied. That times that and that times that. Wow, somebody needs a break. Now the cubes go. See, it wouldn't want to be a... Notice this is my highest exponent, and it's positive. That means everything is going to that direction. So I get 0 is equal to 9x squared, because we're going to subtract that 4x squared, plus 30x plus 9. Notice they all have a 3 in common, so let's take that out. 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. That makes the factoring sort of a joke. 0 is equal to 3x and x. The only way to multiply to 3 is 3 and 1. They both got to be positive. There's your 9x and there's your 1x. My two answers are x equals negative 1/3 and x equals negative 3. So these are my two answers. Now be careful. You box them in, you think you're the bomb, but what you're going to find out is this one cancels. This one doesn't work. So the only answer is negative 1/3. Now why doesn't it work? Well, because that would make this negative, and you can't be negative. Now you can also check it by plugging it in. Please, 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 please do that. All right, done with logs. Let's go to solving systems of equations graphically. So even my really smart kids, I have a couple of really smart kids look at the problem that's similar to this. That's why we're going to do a couple of them like this, just to show you a couple of different approaches to it. But they got so thrown by it. It was crazy, man. It was like really crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the substitution method. But really I want to just get rid of, I notice I can get a 3 out of all of these. I'm going to solve this for y. So I get y minus x equals negative 3. Bring the x over, I get y equals x minus 3. Now that's really important because that's y. And I can plug it in for y right there. So what I end up with is x plus 5. Oh, there's a couple reasons why I did this problem. I remember this problem. Plus x minus 3. Now that's the y part. And then plus 3 squared equals 25. So this gives me x squared plus 10x plus 25 plus, now these cancel, just x squared equals 25. If I bring the 25 over, I get 0 over there, and on this side they just kind of cancel. So what I end up with is 2x squared, I'm going to put the x squared together, plus 10x equals 0. Now for some reason this really boggles some students' mind. They're like, what? What am I going to do with that? How about we take out a GCF? Always look for GCF first. You can take out a 2x. Take out a 2x, I'm left with x plus 5 equals 0. So my 2x answers are x equals 0 and x equals negative 5. Now, please, the most classic, I can't believe you're still allowed to even breathe, man. The mathematics class problem made with these is forgetting to get the y values. You have to get the y values. You hear? So, I'm going to use this equation right here. So, y is equal to x minus 3. Y is equal to 0 minus 3. Y is equal to negative 3. Y is equal to x minus 3. Y is equal to negative 5 minus 3. Y is equal to negative 8. Now, you're going to write your answers like a freaking beast. Like you got some pride in your answers, right? You're going to write 0, comma, negative 3, comma, negative 5, comma, negative 8. And then you're going to go and you're going to take the time to check these. 0, stow it into x. Enter. Negative 3. stow it into y, and you're going to type the original equations. I don't care how long it takes you. You got all day to do this. You want to make sure you get these right. These shouldn't be difficult problems. X plus 5, parentheses squared, plus parentheses y plus 3, parentheses squared. Don't hit that equals button, just type in enter. Oh, it equals 25. What happened to my squared? $25. Well, that was really weird. 25, there it is. And now we're going to test the other one. Oh, the reason it worked before without the squared is because y was -3, and that just kind of went away to 0. It wouldn't have worked on the other one, but you got to make sure you type it in right. That's a classic mistake, not typing that in right. So now we do -5, control var x. Oh, wait, hold on. We didn't check it in the other equation. I got to check it in the other equation, too. The other equation is 3y minus 3x. Does that equal -9? Bam. Okay, so that point's good. Generally, if one point's good, they're both good, except what if you accidentally put -2 here because you did something silly with math? You know, you really want to check these. So I'm going to do -5, control var x, press enter, and -8, control var y, press enter. And then I'm going to hit the up arrow to this one. Does it equal 25? Yes. I'm going to hit the up arrow to this one. Does it equal -9? Yes. I can star that one. Write my grader a note. Dear grader, I wrecked this problem. Just put +4. And move on to the next loser. How about next victim? The next victim. Sincerely, me. Come on, have a little fun. Unless, of course, your teacher's really uptight, and then don't have some fun, because they may not be happy with that. All right, let's try this one. So what I'm going to do is, to get rid of a 1/3, since they're all 1/3, which is kind of nice, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. Now, on the left side, I got to distribute it. On the right side, it's just 3. So on this side, 1/3 times 3 is just 1. So I end up with y plus 1/3 times 3 is x equals, and 1/3 times 3 is just 1. So that's what I end up with. And then when I solve it, I get -x plus 1. Get in the habit of putting the x first. We're going to take this, plug it in for y. I could have solved for x. It makes no difference. So then I end up with x minus 4 squared plus -x plus 1 plus 3 squared equals 8, right? Because this is the y I just substituted in for. All right, so this is x minus 4 times x minus 4 plus -x plus 4 -x plus 4. Don't think you can shortcut this. You have a lot of work to do on this problem. This one's got to get double distributed. We get x squared minus 8x plus 16 plus x squared minus 8x, again, right? Minus 8x, that's minus 4, minus 4, plus 16 equals 8. Everything's got to come to the left, so I get 2x squared minus 8x, and minus 8x is minus 16x. 16 and 16 is 32, but we've got to subtract the 8 over. So I get plus, what's that, 24? Take a 2 out just to make your life easier. X squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. Factor this sucker. X minus 2, x minus, no, yes, x minus 2 and x minus 6. So my two x answers are x equals 2 and x equals 6. Don't be a loser and forget the y values. I'm going to use this equation for the y values. So when x is equal to 2, y is equal to -2 plus 1. So y is equal to negative 1. And when x is equal to 6, y is equal to negative 6 plus 1, or negative 5. So it looks like my two answers are 2 comma negative 1 comma 6 comma negative 5. Now I don't have my answer key with me, so I have to check these because I have no idea if these are right. So it's going to take a minute. Go to my calculator. I'm going to stow 2 control var x. Just take the time to do this. Parenthesis x minus 4 parentheses squared y plus 3 plus parenthesis y plus 3 parentheses squared. Does that equal 8? That doesn't appear to equal 8. Oh, I didn't put y in. See? I didn't put y in. So you sort of got to put y in. Negative 1 control var y. Oops. Negative 1 control var y. Enter. Now let's try it. It should equal 8. Ooh, phew. Equals 8. I didn't make a mistake. All right, good. And now check into the other one. 1 divided by 3. Got to check it back in the original. Y. Plus 1 divided by 3 plus 1 divided by 3 x. You can't write equals. You have to write enter. Enter 1/3, and we want it to equal 1/3. So good. Now check the other one. 6 control var x equals negative 5 control var y. Enter. Hit this arrow. Hopefully this is 8. Yes. And hopefully this is 1/3. Yes. Box it and write me a little note. Dear Mr. Krause, I appreciate your help. Anyway, let's get started. Move this 4 over. I get 2y equals 4x minus 4. Divide by 2. I get y equals 2x minus 2. So that's y. Slightly different problem. I'll plug it in for that y. So I get x squared plus 2x minus 2 equals negative x plus 6. This is positive, so I'll bring everything to this side. X squared plus 3x minus 8 equals 0. Something is amiss. Wow, it took me a couple minutes to find my mistake, and my mistake was I skipped steps. I should have added 4. Sometimes it's hard to find your mistakes. Add 4, and then this should be plus 2, which would make this plus 2, which would not make this negative 8. It would make this negative 4, and that works out much nicer. So x minus x plus, this is 1 and this is 4. So it looks like my two answers are x equals 1 and x equals negative 4. Let's see. Yeah. I've got to go find out y values. So my y value is, let's see, y equals 2 times 1 plus 2. So y is equal to 4. So it looks like 0.1 comma 4. This one is y is equal to 2 times negative 4 plus 2. Y is equal to negative 8, negative 6. So it looks like this is the point negative 4, negative 6. Now, these ones, I actually might graph these ones to check them. Bring this x squared over. I get y equals negative x squared minus x plus 6. Graph that with that. The only problem is you're not checking it back into the originals. You really should check them back in the originals. These, in fact, do work. So my answer is 1, 4, and negative 4, negative 6. There it is. All right, moving on. Oh, I better pause for a second. All right, this is how I solve these equations. I came over to the dark side at one point in my life. First thing that I'm going to do is make sure I don't make any dumb mistakes by putting these in parentheses. Sometimes you make dumb mistakes. And then I'm going to find the lowest common denominator, because in order to add, subtract, or solve equations that are fractions, you need a denominator. So 4 and 2, the lowest number they both go into is 4, and I also have an x. So 4x is my common denominator. I'm going to try to make everything into a 4x. This one has to get multiplied by x. So that's 3x squared, right? If I cancel the x's out, if I divide those common factors out, I'm back with my original. This one requires a 2, so I'm going to put a 2 here. 2x plus 20. Careful, that's why we put these in parentheses. And this one requires a 4, so I'll put a 4 here and a 4 here, so that would be 32x plus 20. Once the denominators are all the same and we modify the numerators, I don't need those denominators anymore to solve this equation. It's 3x squared plus 2x plus 20 equals 32x plus 20. Now they got to come to both sides. So this is my squared term. It's positive, so they're both going to come to the left. These will just cancel when I bring one over. So what I end up with is 3x squared minus 30x equals 0. Here it is again. I wanted you to see this twice. I knew this was coming up again. We're going to take out a 3x. Look for the GCF. Don't automatically think you got to go into 2 sets of parentheses. Look for the GCF first. Minus 10. So my two answers are x equals 0 and x equals 10. Of course, you have to check these. Check everything. So watch what happens. What am I doing? 0, control var x. I'm not even in calculator mode. My brain is not functioning today. Oh my goodness. Look at her. Just kidding. All right, let's try this again. 0, control var x. Now, most of you are smart enough to realize we're going to have an issue. So control division 3x over 4 plus control division x plus 10 over 2x. Press enter, you get undefined. And then in the other side, I'm going to get always the same kid that's going to do this. They don't listen to me. Plus 5 over x. And you get, undefined. Mr. Krause, undefined is UNDEF. And that's equal to undefined UNDEF. Because that word is the same as that word. Word is the same as that word. So they got to be equal. No. It's undefined because you can't have 0 in the denominator of a fraction. This answer doesn't even make any sense. And if you tried 10, 10 would work. All right, kids, look for that. Oh my God, this is a hard question. I put this one on here just to mess with you all. And the problem is right here. This is the problem right here. That is backwards. And when that is backwards, don't even try to solve it. In my class, when we called this the negative one rule. Whenever a binomial is backwards and it's subtraction, I don't care about addition, and it's subtraction, I'm going to turn it around. X minus 4. But to do that, I got to introduce my own negative. Now, why is that? That's because negative x minus 4, if I distribute, gives me negative x plus 4. And isn't that what really 4 minus x is? But this, by doing the negative 1 rule, and again, it's not an official rule, it's just something we call it, I can switch that thing around and not look at that. Oh, because that's crazy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write everything down. 2 over x plus 3 plus, because now we've got two negatives, so plus 3 over x minus 4. Again, negatives are the bane of your existence. They're going to be so difficult to deal with. And this is 2x minus 2, and let's factor this, x minus 4, x plus 3. Well, it should be obvious that this one's missing the x plus 3. The common denominator is x minus 4, x plus 3. This one's missing the x minus 4. And believe it or not, once I've done that, these two things right here, that and this, once I've done this, this problem is ginormously simple, right? Because that's all it is. I'm missing those. I get all those common denominators the same. I change the numerators, and now I just have to set the numerators equal to each other. 2x minus 8 plus 3x plus 9 equals 2x minus 2. Now, there's no quadratic. There's no squared term, so the x's go to one side and the numbers go to the other. So we end up with, let's see, 5x plus 1 equals 2x minus 2. Subtract that, I get 3x equals negative 3, or x equals negative 1. I have no idea if that's right, and I want to make sure I get the right answer to you, so let's check it. Negative 1, control var x. Did you get the negative in there? Yes. Enter. Control division. 2 over x plus 3, 2 over x plus 3, minus control division, 3 over 4 minus x, 3 over 4 minus x. Do not press the equal sign, just get whatever that is. Now type the right side in, control division, 2x minus 2. By the way, if your teacher tells you to put that equal sign in there, tell him Mr. Krause said no, stop doing it. It's a problem. 90% of the time it will work. Come Regents Day, it's going to be one of those ones that bite you in the butt and you're going to miss credit for it and you're going to be so mad you didn't listen to me. I'm assuming that you as a human being can see that this 2/5 is the same as this 2/5. You don't need the equal sign to tell you that. Okay? The problem is when the calculator starts to estimate values of 0, and it gives you an answer like negative 1 e to the negative 13. That's 0.0000000000001, something like that, which is really just 0. But the calculator sees these as not equal when they are in fact equal. That's just this is a rounding mistake on the calculator, but the calculator doesn't know that. It's not smart enough. You have to know it. All right, one last one. Another behemoth problem. And the reason it's a behemoth problem is for the same reason. We got this thing right here. It's backwards. And as soon as I know that's backwards, not only is it backwards, I got to turn it around to b minus 3. I got to introduce that negative up here to both of these. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative b minus 3 all over b minus 3. No, they do not cancel. Plus 3b plus 1 in parentheses. And this I'm going to factor to b plus 3, b minus 3 equals 1 minus 5b, b plus 3. Now it should be pretty obvious that the common denominator is b plus 3, b minus 3. So this one needs a b plus 3. This one needs a b plus 3. This one needs a b minus 3. This one needs a b minus 3. All right, so now that I've done that, I don't need the denominators anymore. I can solve just the numerators. Hey, this is the last problem, thank goodness. Long review. This is going to be tricky, be careful. Negative b squared minus 3b, and minus 3b is minus 6b minus 9. Lots of negatives there. This one doesn't have to do anything, so it's just 3b plus 1 equals, be careful here, this is b minus 3 minus 5b squared minus plus 15b. Now I got to look for my squareds. Here's a squared and there's a squared. This is my largest. It's negative, so it has to go to that side. Everything has to go to that side. So I'm going to add 5b squared. Now these make 16b. If you don't like that, you can just go minus 15b minus b and then put all this b crap together. You know what I think you should probably do before this? You got it. Simplify it. Let's simplify because we got a kind of a mess here. So let's see what we got. I think it'll be easy if we simplify it. We'll make less mistakes. B squared minus 3b minus 8 equals negative 5b squared plus 16b minus 3. So we'll subtract 3, we'll subtract 16b, and we'll add 5b squared. So I end up with 4b squared minus 19b minus 11. That's supposed to be 5. Oh, we're adding 3. Adding 3. Because I looked earlier, I'm like, that's supposed to be 5. So we're going to be minus 5. Okay. Factoring here is not too bad. Remember, this is equal to 0 now, right? Not too bad. It's 4b and b. The easiest way to multiply to 5 is 5 times 1. I'll put the 5 here and the 1 here because this is 20 and this is 1, and that'll give me my 19. I need that to be negative and then this to be positive. So this gives me b equals negative 1/4. And this one gives me b equals 5. And just to save time, if you do in fact check these, see this right here? Do you see what I just did right there? That's one of the major reasons why you want to check it as well. Do you see what I just did right there? I said negative 1/5 and wrote negative 1/5, but it should be negative 1/4. Now, if I checked that, it would not be right. But man, I did all this great work, and to make that dumb mistake at the end because I'm too lazy to check, this should be a 4. So you're going to write your answers as negative 1/4 and 5. Hopefully my head's not in the way. There it is, negative 1/4 and 5. And there it is. And you're going to put that in. Okay, so check. Please check everything. I cannot stress that enough. All right, kids, that's the end of, what is this, day 5, day 6? I think this is day 5. Day 5. Tomorrow and the next day 6 and 7, those are going to be stats and some more exponentials, I believe. A lot of stats, though, I think. I'm going to try to write some stats questions that are like the ones on the Regents. They're kind of a little weird. But anyway, that's it. Catch y'all on the flip side. Make sure you hit subscribe. Hey, text and tweet it out, man. Maybe your friends don't have or haven't found my channel yet. Maybe this will help them out. I always get those kids that find my channel the night before the test. You know, maybe in desperation they start looking, oh, maybe I should review. Tomorrow's the test. It's a little late there, buddy. But anyway, send it out now. Maybe they can get started early. All right, guys. Catch y'all on the flip side. Bye.